Cape Charles Town Council regular meeting for January 19th. Come to order, please. I have a roll call.
Natalie here.
Sullivan.
Bannon here.
Ryan here.
Buckles here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Let us stand for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So with no visitors or presentations this evening, I'll open the floor for public comment at this time. Come in.
Maybe y'all can just speak in a couple comments. We have nobody signed up.
Fine, thank you all. I need a motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the format is approved. I need a motion to approve the minutes that we submitted to you all.
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. I need a motion to approve the December 31st, 2016 financial report.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion on this or questions? I believe that the questions were, there were the questions that should have been submitted already. I'm not aware of any. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The financial report for December 31st, 2016 is approved. I want to note, usually we have old business, swap some things around here. We have Virginia Investment Pool first because we have guests from across the bay. I believe you're coming from Richmond.
Yes.
Yeah, so next order of business is the Virginia Investment Pool.
Good evening. I just want to introduce Mr. Robert Oliver. He's from the Virginia Investment
Is that on?
It's just on the bottom. Yeah.
Mr. Robert Oliver is from
Maybe raise it up a little bit and talk directly into the top.
Virginia Investment Pool, and he's going to just give you an overview of a new investment opportunity that I've done a little research. I think it's a great opportunity, and we're looking forward to it. Broadening our tools, our investment tools. So I'm going to let him give his presentation because I'm sure he'll do a much better job of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a presentation. I think each of you got a copy of this. I'll just take you through this just to tell you a little bit about our program. Let me begin. I think probably all of you recall we did a financing through VML Bacon Finance for the town last fall. And financing is one of the programs that we offer. We also do investment programs as a service of VML and Bacon, which was started in 2003. We've done to date almost $1 billion in financing, about $1.4 billion in invested assets are under management. The list of the participants is included in this presentation. We're the most widely used financial services program for local governments in Virginia. We've done a number of things with Cape Charles over the years, and we really appreciate your confidence in us. The program we're going to talk about tonight, Virginia Investment Pool, is one of our newer services. It's one of the most popular services that we've offered in Virginia. Let me explain what this is, because it really is unique. VIP is not a product. It's not a bank product or that type of thing. This is really a way for local governments in Virginia to be able to invest jointly. This is a governmental trust fund that was established under Section 115 of the Internal Revenue Code. So what we do in this program is that we invite local governments that want to participate to invest with other local governments and have a professional fund manager who manages the investments. Because it's a governmental trust, the participants in the program select their representatives to a board of trustees, and the board of trustees makes all the decisions for the program. By being part of a pool like this, you can invest in with other local governments in a large-scale pool that's more diversified than if you were to try to do this on your own. It has the professional investment management, and you get access to volume-based fees as well. Now, the investment manager that we use is a firm called Public Trust Advisors, which manages statewide investment pools for local governments around the country. That's something they specialize in. They have about $14 billion in assets that they manage through the program. If you turn the page, you'll see the Board of Trustees. These are the individuals under our trust agreement. They all have to be treasurers or investment officers from their local government. And they're elected by the participants in the program. In this part of the state, Lee Kovacs, who's the investment manager for the city of Virginia Beach, is on our board. Barbara Caraway, she's a treasurer for the city of Chesapeake, is on our board. We have a couple towns represented, Smithfield and Christiansburg. So it's a pretty representative board, similar to, well, it almost exactly matches the participants of the program. Now, VIP offers two investment portfolios. So when you join the Virginia Investment Pool, you really have access to two different options. And this gives you, I think, a good, effective way to manage your funds. One of them is a 1 to 3 year bond fund, where we're investing primarily in 1 to 3 year fixed income securities. This is for those funds that you can safely invest for a year or longer. And then we have the VIP Stable Net Asset Value Liquidity Pool. This is more like a money market fund. This is for your day-to-day funds. So it's appropriate to use when you really don't want to risk that there will be a fluctuating value of the investments. You can put $1 into this and know that you can take $1 back out plus the earnings. On the next page, you can see it sort of graphically what I'm talking about. Any local government is going to have some fluctuation in the balances that it maintains. So we call that part of your funds that fluctuate the liquidity balance. So depending on what time of year it is, when the tax revenues are coming in, when you're making payroll payments and so forth, this liquidity balance can fluctuate. And so you want to keep that very short term in a vehicle where you don't have to worry about the value of your assets fluctuating that way. Then there's a core balance, and this is the balance that you carry over from year to year. And this is I think, key measure of how strong the local government is do you have a healthy core balance? Because the core balance, those funds that you're not necessarily planning to draw down every year, those are funds that are available for emergencies, to take advantage of opportunities that may come your way, and so forth. So it's when a bond rating agency looks at a local government, the core balance, their fund balance that they carry over from year to year, that's one of the first things that they'll look at. Well, those funds, since you're not really planning to use them every year, you can invest those. It's prudent to invest those a little bit longer term and earn a little better rate of return on that. And so that's what VIP does. It's covering both of those things. The liquidity balance, where you need to have confidence that your assets are going to fluctuate in value. And then the core balance, where you can invest a little bit longer term and earn a higher rate of return. Let me talk first about the 1 to 3 year high quality bond fund. This is a fund, we started this almost 3 years ago, and this is a fund that we invest in short-term fixed income securities. By that I mean U.S. government securities, corporate bonds, municipal bonds. This fund is rated by Standard & Poor's. We have a AA rating. And for a portfolio like this, S&P gives a rating on how volatile it will be. And they've given us an S1 rating. That's the lowest level of volatility. So while there can be a change in asset value over a period of time, this is the least volatile, in the scale of investment pools. As of year end, our book yield in this program was 1.15%, and for the immediately preceding 12 months, our rate of return was 1.07. So it's that total rate of return that can change. In the last fiscal year, looking at that 1 year period with a total return of about 1.76%. So that can change, but over the long run, meaning over the course of a year, you'll earn a little bit more because we're investing longer term. The next page shows how the 1 to 3 year fund is invested. When you look at this, you can see this is a very conservative fund. About a third of it is invested in U.S. Treasury notes, about a third in federal agencies, Federal National Mortgage Association, Home Loan Bank Board, those types of things, and then about a third in corporate notes and municipal bonds. This is where we get a little bit better return is in this part that we invest in corporate notes and municipal bonds, and that's because those are investments that you want to research and then monitor closely. But when you do that, you can get, there are good opportunities to get a little bit higher return. So that's the 1 to 3 year pool. Now the other part of VIP is the stable net asset value liquidity pool. And this is just like a money market fund that you're used to, where the value of your investment is not expected to change. Our fund is rated AAA from Standard & Poor's, and the current rate that we're paying on it says here 0.84%. Actually, as I left the office, we had updated it as 0.89%, so the rate's gone up a bit. Offers stable net asset value. It's a diversified fund, offers daily liquidity, meaning you can access your funds, the same day just by notifying us. This is a sweep vehicle, meaning if you are interested in the 1 to 3 year fund, your investment first goes here until you're ready to invest it in the 1 to 3 year fund. So the last page, turn to page 10, and it shows how all this fits together. When you join VIP, your funds go into the liquidity pool, the stable asset value pool. You can then use VIP to move some funds into the high quality bond fund. Those would be dollars that you expect, that you can set aside there for about a year or longer. We also can set up separate accounts for you for special purpose funds. You can tie this to your local checking account. So it's really a tool. It's not just an investment, it's really a tool that you can use, ties into your checking account. So you can move the funds where they'll do you the most good. Because you're able to move funds between different accounts, all of these accounts we're talking about being in the name of the town of Cape Charles. So these are your accounts, but because you can move in between them, you can invest the funds where you get a little better return than leaving it, say, in a checking account or a money market fund. It gives you that kind of flexibility and that control. And that's why I think this tool has been really well received around Virginia. One thing that's really striking about Virginia Investment Pool is clearly this smaller localities can benefit from this. These are tools that are not available to everybody. But when we started the program, some of the largest localities in Virginia were the first to join this, because even for them, they found this to be a good tool that they could use as well. They liked that it was professionally managed, that it's being overseen on a day-to-day basis. And so some of the largest participants we have are Fairfax County and Arlington and Virginia Beach. But for smaller local governments, this is a real opportunity in view of VML to manage your investments, with a very sophisticated service like this. So we're glad that you're looking at it and that you're planning to join. Be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from council?
Question to Debbie, is our $1.98 investment safe?
Very simple.
So I've got a couple of questions. First of all, is there a minimum, assuming we adopt this ordinance, is there a minimum that we need to keep in either of those two funds? Or can we simply put money in if we wish and take it out? We can have a zero balance.
You can have a zero balance. Our guideline is we recommend a minimum investment of $75,000, which isn't a lot, but
Because, why do you recommend 75,000?
well, because there's a certain amount of record keeping that's required and so forth. So you want to have some scale ideally when you participate. But there's not a hard and fast minimum.
Okay. And then, are either of these two funds insured?
They're not insured. We get the rating from Standard & Poor's. We get an indication of the strength of it.
But they're not, it's not, there's no governmental agency that guarantees. Who provides the oversight for these funds?
Well, it's got several levels of oversight. And S&P is one of those levels, because when Standard & Poor's gives a rating for an investment pool like this, they also do ongoing monitoring. So on about a monthly basis, I believe, they'll issue a report on the portfolio. In addition to that, the professional investment manager that we use is overseeing funds on a daily basis and making trades daily. As staff, we receive reports from the investment manager on an ongoing basis, and then the board of trustees also oversees this. So each of the participants receives a report. You have a pair of eyes with staff, with the fund manager, with the rating agency, all overseeing this investment.
Okay. And then on this NAV fund, what assets are there in that? In other words, there's some interest that gets given. Where does that interest come from?
Well, it's a portfolio also. It's invested.
What's that portfolio?
Yeah, it's invested in very short-term type securities, like a lot of overnight type things. So, for instance, commercial paper is an element of it. Short-term notes that may go out 6 months, a year or so. It's managed so that there's always liquidity, so that the participants in the program can access their funds on a daily basis. It's managed, to provide that. And one of the things Standard & Poor's does, when they assign a AAA rating, they have standards for, how the funds are invested. Not only the credit quality, but also that it's liquid, so you can access your funds.
So does that mean that a certain percentage of the funds are not invested at any one time? In other words, you have a certain amount in short-term securities, maybe it's 1 month, maybe it's a week, that's not available immediately. So does that, if there's liquidity maintained, does that mean that a certain amount of that money is not invested at all?
Well, or that it's invested in a liquid security, something that could be,
Effectively a bank account.
yeah.
Not exactly a bank account, but effectively something like a savings account.
That's how you can use it, because it's a stable net asset value. You can use it as though it's a savings account, you know, with a value that's not going to change. The fund manager is going to use a variety of things. Some, you know, some things that are immediately able to be liquidated, and some things that are go a little bit longer.
Please.
To the treasurer, why are you excited about this?
Right now, we're fairly limited. We have just the money market, we have our checking account, money market, and the LGIP, which,
But it's safe.
yes, they're safe.
Well, let me clarify on that.
Well, LGIP,
The LGIP that's a money market fund that's offered through state government. It's the same as this. It's a fund that also has a AAA rating, but it is not insured. It's another option that's available. Since we started our program, our rate of return in our money market type fund has been a little bit higher than the state.
the ability to transfer back and forth also is good. LGIP, it's a little, it's not very difficult, but it's a little more difficult than being able to log in and transfer money.
And that's a good point. With LGIP, there's one option. It's the liquidity pool. Here we're offering two tools that you can use. And then this platform that allows you to move funds between them and into your local checking account. So it's an online interface that's being provided that gives you control over your funds more than you have.
Well, I wouldn't expect to be shifting things around very often when we have things like a big payment coming up for the trail project, for example, like a plan ahead or a large debt service. I could keep it invested and then, 2 days before, move it before it would have been more cumbersome.
Andy?
To me, it sounds like it's just a step up from what we're using now.
You're happy with it, Debbie?
I think it's really
You would
good.
recommend it to her?
I will tell you that I'm not gonna switch everything over, I will do it in bits and pieces and evaluate.
Do you have a rough estimate as to how much we would put in?
Minimum 75.
Well, no, there's no minimum.
Well, suggested.
Suggested, but we could put in less.
I would like to put in, this year's taxes. I'll leave the LGIP where it is now, for now, and then just move this year's tax excess, what we have we have our full swell this time of year, and just put that in. I'm gonna have to move it somewhere. It's not being interest rate right now.
Joe? Any questions? Comments?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, I think you've answered all my questions. At this point, yes, we need to vote on this. We need a motion to authorize participation by the town of St. Charles in the Banco BML Virginia Investment Pool Trust Fund for the purpose of investing in accordance with section 2.2-4501 of the Virginia Code. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I move for adoption of ordinance 201-70119 to authorize participation by the town of Cape Charles in the VACO BML Virginia Investment Pool Trust Fund for the purpose of investing in accordance with section 2.2-4501 of the Virginia Code as noticed, and forego reading of the ordinance. And I need a roll call. First I need a motion, and then I'll have to roll call.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call?
Natali, yes.
Sullivan, no.
Bannon, yes. Brown, yes.
Buckles, yes.
Motion is carried with one dissension. Thank you. Okay. Next order, thank you very much. Have a safe trip back to Richmond.
Watch your speed.
I will. Thank you.
Watch your speed.
Bridge are fine.
Next Next order of business is the appointment of district review board member. Page 55, I believe. Yeah,
This first term that expired.
54. Yeah, you take it. Yeah, 55.
Terry Stru's term has expired. Of course, the board meets once a month, consists of 4 members, each serving 5-year terms. Terry's term expired January 8th of 16. Should be 17, I'm guessing. Okay, sorry. Ms. Stru has expressed an interest to continue to serve on the historic district review board.
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Congratulations and thank you very much for all your help over the years and for volunteering for the next. Thank you. Let's see, next order of business is Historic District Review Board of Appeal, 204 Washington Avenue. So I'm going to take us, I'll to you and refer to Larry.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council, and Clerk. This is an appeal of the Historic District Review Board's decision on the
All right, can
cladding.
you talk a little louder? I don't know if people in the back can hear you.
This is an appeal of the Historic District Review Board's decision on the cladding of a chimney shaft for new construction located at, on a vacant lot now, but the postal address or the 911 address of 204 Washington Avenue. The board received, the Historic District Review Board that has received the application in November. It was on their agenda for the November meeting. For the most part, the plan as submitted by the applicant, Mr. Custis, was approved by the Historic District Review Board except for the chimney cladding. The home is proposed to be clad in vinyl, which conforms to the both the zoning ordinance and the Historic District Review Board guidelines. The chimney cladding was a subject of discussion by the board. The board came to the determination that a chimney, and this is a fireplace chimney, that vinyl siding was inappropriate as a cladding and recommended a masonry cladding in its stead. That was the nature of the certificate of appropriateness that was approved that night. The applicant was then interested in going through the appeal process. During the latter part of the month of November, he and I had some correspondence. He submitted a number of photos. You have some of those relative to houses in the historic district that do have a vinyl clad or non-masonry anyway, clad chimney shaft. That went back to appeal at the December 13th Historic District Review Board meeting, which at that point in the minutes for both the November meeting and the December meeting were included in your packet. At the December 13th meeting, the board once again determined that the vinyl-sided cladding for the chimney shaft was not compatible with the design guidelines of the Historic District, and that information was transmitted to the applicant. We had some correspondence, he and I had some correspondence, it's included in the packet, relative to the appeal process. And on Christmas Day, he submitted an email to me. I recommended he give us a letter requesting the appeal to the town council by the Article 8 section in the zoning ordinance, which allows the Historic District Review Board decisions to be appealed to a hearing of the town council. That's where we are this evening.
Before Mr. DeRay sits down, does council have any questions for him? All right.
I only have one question. When I went for my variance for my bed and breakfast, everybody was warned if you give it to me, other B&Bs will pop up. which could have been disastrous. It's a monster, so it could be disastrous. We've already approved, at least, there's two, the two that he's got listed here, I've seen pass the Historic Review Board, I believe. One is your house, and one is Roberta Newman's son's house at the corner of Harbor and Randall.
And these are relatively new.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
My thing is, if they got it, why should we turn this man?
Exactly.
That's my thing. I mean, I'm not a vinyl,
Not a vinyl kind of guy.
vinyl kind of guy, but it's been done and don't penalize.
I'll explain the chimneys to you because I was in construction for a few years. Even the masonry facade chimneys have basically a stainless steel pipe that goes up. They don't make them like they used to, so it's a stainless steel pipe that goes up, regardless if it's vinyl, cement or masonry, it doesn't matter. It's the
I believe
chimney.
you're double wall.
Yeah, it's double wall, so there's not any danger of these chimneys whatsoever.
So before Larry sits down, any more questions for him? And then I'd like to allow Mr. Custis to speak, and if the planning, or the Historic District Review Board, anyone you would like to speak, we'd also be interested in your thoughts. Anything more? Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Custis.
Yes. Yes, thank you all so much for taking the appeal and
Adjust the microphone up and speak into the top of it.
Sure. Is that better?
Much.
Great. But I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have. I'm just asking that I be allowed to do the vinyl chimney like the others that I saw in town. The Historical Review Board said that I needed to do masonry, even do a masonry veneer on it, but my foundation is going to be a block foundation with gray parging. So it'll actually stick out and not really look, it's not aesthetically pleasing to have a block wall with parging, then have a brick facade coming off the side. It just doesn't make sense to do it that way. I've been doing construction for 15 years and never had an issue with it. So.
Any questions?
The recommendation, though, is to approve it from the planning.
From
Staff recommends town council accept the planning commission's recommendation approving.
where are you looking? You're on the wrong page, dear.
Oh, so sorry.
Sorry.
I like it though.
Oh, okay.
There is no recommendation from staff in this regard. It says following review of the
Oh,
materials
so
and
sorry.
consideration of the received comments, town council will determine if.
I am on the wrong page.
Yeah, well, if there are a lot of pages. A lot of
Thank you.
pages,
Thank you.
there's 92.
Yeah, and that's when I looked through the guidelines, there was nothing in specific about fireplace cladding, because most of these homes were built with chimneys in the center. Fireplaces in the center of the homes originally, because the purpose was to heat the home. With new construction, this is typically where you do fireplaces now, not in the center of the home, but on the exterior.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all so much, appreciate it.
Thank you for coming out this evening.
You're welcome. Good evening. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Joe Fair. I'm the chair of the Historic Review Board, and I've held that position for 4 years now. Been on the board for 5. This is the first appeal that the present board has been involved with. And just a little background on this particular application. We discussed the chimney stack at length, denoted that application in November. And we determined that Washington Street is a transitional street in town. And as such, and the lack of new homes on that block or on that street, and all the empty lots on that street, that we're likely to see construction take place there in the future. The guidelines that we operate under are somewhat vague in the description of new construction, but they do on page 21 of the guidelines, they do call out that new structures shall complement and respect the existing character of historic buildings. Right around the corner from this particular property, there's 3 first squares that are in the district. You know, obviously this property is in the district. The board's feeling is that on Washington Street, people tend to look across Washington Street and see Marina Village. And the buried house styles there, with their back basically turned to the historic district and the structures there. We felt that this chimney clad in vinyl was inappropriate. The other chimneys, there are other chimneys in town, as was mentioned, that are clad. Not too many, there's a few. Most of that cladding, if not all of it, I believe is hardy plant, which is a much more durable material than vinyl. While the guidelines and the zoning ordinance talk about vinyl siding being appropriate, it's under a chapter in the zoning ordinance that calls out inappropriate materials. And set underneath of that, I don't have that article in front of me, but set underneath of that, says vinyl, vinyl siding is permissible in the district. So our intention has never been to discourage a property owner from building. In fact, we encourage and work with every applicant that comes before our board. But we're also cognizant of the responsibility that we have to protect the integrity of the historic district, whether that be new construction, renovation, or remodeling. With the potential of more homes being built along Washington Street, the board determined, this board determined, that we did not want to set a precedent where we could have every home along that street built with a clad chimney. I can't speak for previous boards and their approvals of this type of construction. And just a little bit about my background. I spent 22 years owning and maintaining a business in Worcester County, Maryland. I worked all over the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Eastern Shore of Virginia, and Annapolis doing historic restoration woodworking. So I'm pretty comfortable with my way around this guidelines, and I've worked with many other historic districts and review boards over the years. This is not an arbitrary decision on our part. It was a unanimous decision that the board came to after much discussion. And again, it's never been our desire to hold up or turn down an application. As I said, we've done our utmost best to work with every applicant, and quite successfully. So anyway, I appreciate you hearing me out, and just wanted to give you a little bit of background as to our decision in this particular case.
Regardless of the outcome, we do appreciate the Historic District Review Board's work, and I think council will recognize that that is what we try to do relative to encouraging people to build in terms of working with them.
Absolutely, absolutely, every single case.
So,
I would just say one other thing about the transitional area. I don't think the condos on Washington really, fit into the basic sympathetic.
Neither do the townhouses behind the Airbnb.
This is true.
Touche.
That was quite, no, that was
It's not the same construction.
yes.
Matter of fact, on Peach Street, just down the street, right behind the church, there's 1, 2, 3 houses that are all vinyl sided. Basically, they're all old railroad, old duplexes that have been, all they can afford is vinyl siding. There's plenty of vinyl sidings in here. I have no problem with the vinyl sided chimney. Just less than a block and a half, or less than a block away, we've got another house, basically we've got clad already, that sits right in front of four squares on the other side facing the beach. So we've already set a precedent, so you can't go backwards, my opinion.
I agree with Andy. I think the precedent's already been set. I think the vinyl siding should be allowed.
John?
I think I agree with Andy and Sandra.
Sometimes you run into things, unfortunately, that are set, and that's the way it used to be, but not necessarily the right way. So, it's just a matter of opinion, that's why we have boards.
Yes. Is there any further discussion on this? I've done this a little out of order. Usually we get a motion and a second. and
I'll
then
make a
discuss.
motion
Is there a second?
Make a motion for
To
to approve or not approve,
approve.
to approve. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, if that's what you're moving, if you don't want to approve.
Correct.
You said, you're right?
Okay, you go ahead and make the motion.
I'll already make a motion that we approve the vinyl siding as requested.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, and is there any further discussion?
I don't want the review board to feel that we're, punching you in the stomach. You're advisory to us, and I've been looking at chimneys more in the past week and a half. Santa Claus could get down really well. I just don't want you to think that we're out to get you or have hard feelings or, okay.
And maybe it would be appropriate for the review board to review the ordinances and tighten them up for future where appropriate, if that makes any sense.
Wouldn't that go back to planning?
We are, not to belabor this, but we are in the process, and have been in the process of reviewing and updating the guidelines. And this is one portion of that will be tightened up. But, again, we take our responsibility to protect the historic nature of this town very seriously.
You recognize that, and unfortunately, well, you hear what council has said, but
We have-
this is not at all a reflection of your.
No, not at all.
Please don't feel that way.
Oh, no, we kind of, I like to think we have a very professional board, and this was our interpretation of this particular guideline. And again, it's no, we work with every applicant that comes before the board, and so this is, it is what it is.
Well, we have the same issues going on in the planning commission, because we always have very contradictory things that go back and forth.
Yes.
We're in the same process of tightening that up, with all the help from Larry, because there's been a lot of stuff through the historic planning part, or there intermixed stuff in there that don't overlap or do not
Right.
jive. And we're trying to get everything on the same page. And it's a long process.
I will add, just with setting a precedent, I can't speak to what boards in the past have approved or not, but I know how this board functions and how we interpret those guidelines, hence that decision.
Understood. Right, is there any further discussion?
May I just add something real quick? And I appreciate what they're doing. I'm born and raised on Eastern Shore, so I want to add value to Cape Charles. That's all my intention. So I'm not trying to, I want to see Cape Charles thrive, and this might not be the only house I do. So I want to continue to try to improve the economy for Cape Charles and the lower part of the shore.
Understood. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Glad people are coming here and glad people are building. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any-
Opposed? All right, motion is carried. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Good luck with the project.
Move on to old business. Next is conditional use permit application for North Fourth Street.
What?
Yeah,
How about
Sorry. We're going on to old business. The next piece of business is a conditional use permit application for 1 Fig Street.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we've got the staff report there for the conditional use permit application for a residential unit above commercial unit at 1 Fig Street, the Kellogg Building. This went to a joint public hearing. There were 2 speakers at the public hearing who both spoke in favor of the apartment, the residential unit. The planning commission then discussed the issue after the public hearing at their meeting and unanimously voted to recommend approval. The staff's recommendation is likewise to recommend approval. I know specifics there, and this staff report to the town council, basically the same as the one I went to the planning commission, speaks about density and the density levels that would be incurred by 1 residential apartment in that neighborhood. Basically, the 600 block of Randolph and 600 block of Mason is negligible. Both of those streets are residential and would allow higher density development as well. So that's where we are.
May I have a motion to approve the conditional use permit application for 1 Fig Street? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you all very much. Next item of business, there's follow-up items from the December meeting, and I have none on the agenda. And what I would like to do at this point is to say, are there any follow-up items that need to be addressed that we should get on the record for us to talk about in the future?
I have one, but I left off.
Yes, that's fine. Does anyone else have any follow-up items?
Just an update on what happened with, what I brought up about the park and stuff, skateboard park, all that stuff.
Right.
Been repaired or shut down or closed or?
The last I looked, there was yellow tape around it. So,
It's closed now.
yeah, just closed. Sambo? Chris?
I would ask the town manager to move on the letter from the Central Park Committee about the trees, the fungi, the treated, so they're gonna die.
Okay. So, Centauri, you're going to send a note. Joan, anything?
I disagree with Chris on the treatment of our trees.
Oh, you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I
I
concur.
do too.
Yeah.
All right.
And then 2 other things in this meeting would be for David's department. One is for the river out here with the rain we're having. Could we have a gangplank back, or could David call the state and try to get them to
Do something.
yes, to drain it. And I had a complaint from 2 ladies who live on Madison, and they were saying, they're getting out of their car and you're stepping into a swamp of leaves. And it's been raining. We really have we've got some new equipment now to pick up brush, but is there a better vacuum system or street sweeping system?
Shovel. When it's wet.
I know, that's so.
Yep.
I had the same thing happen today.
Okay.
Same way it's all.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Any other follow-up items?
What's the latest on the Peach Street project?
They started pouring concrete on Washington today. I think they've got a lot of the median cleared out on Peach Street. I know they're trying to tie up a lot of the concrete pieces, the radiuses and things of that nature. So the concrete crew is busy at it. I'll call it, for lack of a better term, pipe crew, the stormwater management crew is working more on the northwest side of Washington Avenue, trying to get some boxes and some connections. So they're going to do a lot of that. They're going to construct them as opposed to a precast because of the sort of strange dimensions of everything coming together. They've been working on that. The mayor probably has a front row seat to that.
I see it daily. It helps to wake me up in the morning.
I'm sure it does. But we are starting to see progress. There's a lot of concrete that's going to be taken on the north side of Washington Avenue.
Did you do the underground power yet?
I don't know that they have. I know they're waiting for Verizon to move forward.
Yeah, I
That's causing
know
some
the poll is.
issues. Yeah.
So would council like an update on this in the next work session, about a
Yes.
5-minute
Yeah.
update? So maybe we get an idea of when these folks are going to be finished?
Late fall.
Well,
I'm curious to know, we approved the letter we sent to VDOT for a handicap parking reserved space on Monroe. And have we ever heard back?
That's the one for
The attorney,
yeah,
lawyers,
Fox.
And
It's not handicapped.
it's a reserved spot, so they
I got one through the town. I didn't go through Vita.
I submitted the letter to
VDOT.
Dale Pusey, and I did receive a response from him. He wanted some more information, and I referred him to Mr. Fox to provide that information, as we didn't know about it.
okay, so can we get that on a work session?
I gotta get mine.
I'm sorry.
You're talking two different things, but the handicap on Monroe, what?
No, it was Mr. Fox.
Oh, was?
Yes, that's what I was referring to.
Okay,
There's a handicap area on Randolph Avenue in the 500 block that needs to be taken away. Because the gentleman that was living there no longer with us, deceased, so nobody living there, and it's handicapped.
Okay, so if we can have like a quick update on all these at the next work session, would be good.
And if the town's not informed, they don't know.
Has anybody come in with reference?
Three houses down from the
Catholic.
Catholic Church.
Okay, right. Chris?
From Bay Creek, asking that the town apply or to reduce the 35 to 25. It comes up every couple of years.
I have not had a formal request yet. I've talked to Brent about this. Maybe we'll segue into mayors and council comments, but.
What, on the new road?
No, on the old road.
The new road.
The request that I got was to see if we could reduce get VDOT to reduce the speed limit from 35 to 25 during the time when we were having construction, so that golf carts would have a way to get between the town and Bay Creek, because the golf cart trail that was there is no longer accessible. It's basically destroyed because of the.
Yeah, when it's there on, it's not the time property, throw it on the vacant property.
Correct. So the request is, can VDOT reduce that speed limit? So, I guess what I could do, I said I would get the person who asked me to put in a formal request, but let's keep that on our radar. Okay, there it is. Just sit down. No, it's all right. That's okay. All right, at this point, are there any other items to follow up? All right, mayor and council comments. Where did I start last time? I don't think. Joan? 6 o'clock. Dar?
I do, and I'm sorry that our chief of police is not here this evening, but Officer Potts is. And if you would convey my message back to the chief, I would appreciate it. I was able to witness the other night a car being stopped. And I have to say, no, it wasn't you, Michael. I have to say that after living here 20 years, I was standing on the porch in the dark, and to listen to the way Officer Jett, he was with Jay, how they spoke to the gentleman in the car that they pulled over, I was so impressed. It's been a long time, and 20 years, it's a huge change in the way the police force handles themselves. And this car had rolled through a stop sign. And in the past, that was a guaranteed ticket. They spoke to him with respect. He turned out to be a gentleman in the service, so there was a lot of, we thank you for your service. and please don't do it again, have a nice day. And I thought, wow, that was nice, and a nice change. And I thought I would share that. So,
Thank you, Dara. That's always good to hear things
always
like
good
that.
to hear good
Always
things. I will give you bad things too.
I'm sorry, Malcolm, time for public comment is over.
Is it
Catch me
possible
after.
to speak? I thought it
No.
started at 7.
No, it starts at 6. We can talk afterwards. Chris? Sambo? Andy? Okay.
Just me, maybe I'll keep talking.
I don't have a whole lot of comments to make. The only thing I would say, I would ask council if there is anything they need me to bring up, or Brent to bring up at DML Day at Capitol. Send us a note if you have any suggestions and things. There are a few things I've got on my list, but if you have other things that you'd like brought to our representative's attention, please tell me.
Can I make an update next month, the newly formed Harbor Committee?
Yes,
Okay.
I would like that. And that's it. I have no other comments, and I know we're finishing 55 minutes. That's pretty close to the right. I like this new format that we've got.
It is great.
So may I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor of adjourning? We are adjourned. Thank you.